Festival 2021. Thank you for having me. I hope you'll enjoy my talk today. My name is Christopher Burgess. I am an enterprise account director working for LinkedIn, and I work for a division of LinkedIn called Glint. Glint is a people success platform. We have an employee engagement software that allows organizations to effectively roll out a strategic employee engagement strategy. And my talk today is really going to be about the correlation between organizational growth and the ability to listen to your employees. I'm working for LinkedIn over 6 years now, and I'm working with Glint's fastest growing customer base, enterprise customers, all across EMEA, from London to Stockholm, to Berlin, to Munich, Finland, you name it. I've been working all across EMEA for the last 6 years. I'm now going to share my screen and really run you through a little bit about LinkedIn, Glint, and again, as I said, the correlation between organizational growth and the ability to roll out an effective and strategic employee engagement strategy. Please bear with me, I'm just going to share my screen. So, as I said, this is myself. Quick introduction again, Chris Burgess, employee enterprise account director for Glint, part of LinkedIn. And I'm going to talk to you about how an employee engagement strategy fuels organizational growth. I'm going to start at the very start, and I want to give you a bit of an idea of LinkedIn as a platform. You may all think of LinkedIn as, oh, well, you know, I'm looking for an opportunity, or maybe I'm thinking about a new job, I'll go to LinkedIn. The reality is LinkedIn is far more than that. LinkedIn's vision is to create economic opportunity for every member of the global workforce. So our mission pretty much is to help people grow. And in order for organizations to grow, their people have to, right? So there's a direct correlation between our vision and the ability for organizations to succeed. We call this the economic graph. And the economic graph, it's a real life map of the global workforce. And what I mean by that is we have 750 million members now. To give you an idea, I joined LinkedIn 6 years ago, and we were at 280 million members when I joined. So again, we as a business have gone through a huge amount of hypergrowth from our member base to employee headcount. We now have about 2,500 employees in EMEA. When I joined, we were close to about 400. And that's just EMEA alone. Globally, we've doubled our headcount in the last couple of years. The reality is we also have 30,000 registered companies on the platform, 20 million open opportunities, 50,000 skills, and 90,000 schools. The reality is the number one reason people come to LinkedIn as a platform is to learn. And the stats show it, the facts, the surveys, and everything that we've run. Our members, and we are a member-first site, is all about individual growth. How do I get to my next role? How can I self-develop myself? How did that person get to where they are today, and how can I learn from that? It's all about personal growth. So there's a direct correlation when you think about LinkedIn in terms of the organizational growth that we're seeing today. Whether you've been impacted by COVID and you're trying to grow and come back out of it, or whether you have the opportunistic time during COVID to ramp up your sales, whether you're an e-commerce business, an online platform that has seen huge amount of growth due to the trajectory of digital transformation. Organizations are trying to transform digitally, and the reality is we are in a new world of work, and I think we've all been fast forwarded, most businesses, probably 10 years quicker than we expected when it comes to digital transformation and online. The reality is why I'm giving you a breakdown of LinkedIn as a platform before I get into Glint specifically is this is our ecosystem. That global workforce map really allows us as a business to gather data. We are the largest database in the world when you come to think about it when it comes to professional networks. So the reality is we are also a Microsoft shop. We were purchased by Microsoft. We bought other lines of business, one called LinkedIn Learning. So again, an online e-learning platform for people to come and self-develop remotely. We now have Glint, which has been purchased in 2018, an employee engagement software tool. And this is where we really fit into the employee life cycle of your organization. The reality is if your organization is going to succeed and grow in these times, it is going to be reliant on its people. So your people have never been more important. So this is our ecosystem. If we think about the plan, hire, develop, and engage buckets, 4 simple buckets, and this is how our data can be used for organizations to formalize strategies. If we think about plan, that's 750 million members, allows us to give data to organizations and our customers on talent analytics. If you're trying to digitalize and hire the best software developers, well, where are they based? Do they even exist? What universities are churning them out? That's data we can help you with. Again, we think about competitor analytics. If you're all trying to hire the same person, if you think about, again, digital transformation, whether you're a bank, whether you're a retailer, whether you're a high street, whether you're just an online store, you're all competing for the same type of talent. Okay, no longer is a banking sector competing with a bank, or is a retail organization dealing with retail. If you're trying to digitalize, you're competing with digital talent, and everybody needs it. So therefore, everyone is your competitor. So if it comes to competitor analysis, we as an organization, again, can help you understand how is your competitor doing when it comes to attracting that talent. Employee insights. Fundamentally, what are we internally having issues with our own employees? Do we have skills gaps in certain divisions? What are we not retaining in terms of attrition? So again, your plan is a very simple analogy. It's like a gym plan. You don't go to the gym and just go in and start lifting weights and eating whatever you want. The reality is you're going to have to put a plan in place. And that plan is the fundamental of your success. What areas are my weaknesses? Do I need to work on my back? Do I need to work on my shoulders? Do I have issues with leg strain? So what can or cannot I do? And then after that, once you understand that, well, what can I eat? What's going to help me effectively train? Very simple. We have the data and the fuel to formulate the whole rest of the ecosystem, which then fundamentally fits into hire. Hire, very simply, within the LinkedIn platform, is your job advertisements. Now, organizations are allowing, or how we help organizations to tell their EVP, why choose company X over company Y? These are our people. Come work with us. We value you. So again, portraying that online through marketing techniques, advertising, and recruitment tools. We then come into develop. Once you understand where these people are, once you've hired them, now you need to keep them and retain them, because retention is key. Attrition is expensive. So when we think about development, what do we all want nowadays? Millennials, baby boomers, Gen Z, Gen X, whatever they are, they all have a huge appetite for learning, way more than what previous workforces did 20, 30 years ago. So again, how do we help them remotely learn on the go at any point, at any time, and how do we help them develop the areas that they need to work on? We then move into engagement, which is where I fit in Glint, employee effective strategies when it comes to listening. So employee voice surveys, anytime feedback from managers, onboarding and exit interviews. Where did we go wrong in the onboarding? Where did we go wrong that allowed this person to leave in our exit interview? Diversity, inclusion, belonging, huge topics nowadays. Well-being, burnout, given the COVID and we're all working remotely. So Glint plays a role in helping you as an organization understand how your people feel and how happy they are. And that formulates whether they need development, whether we need to hire more, or has our plan been effective. So that's how engagement fits in. That's how our ecosystem fits in. I'm now going to again give you a bit of an overview of Glint as a platform before we jump into some statistics and organizational change when it comes to engagement versus growth. Our vision in Glint alone is to help people be happier and more successful at work. The reality is there was two types of ways of doing this when we think about employee engagement. On the left, you had your consultancy providers, quite old school, bit mundane, and often can take a really long time between when they start that process, run a survey, and then are giving you that feedback as an organization. That can take anything from 0 to 3 months. The reality is if you're getting data 3 months later, it's already static, it's stale, and you're not in time and in the moment. We now have technology providers and organizations like Glint and others who allow organizations to run surveys at a whim. Very quick, very nimble, very agile, but they miss the expertise of the consulting of once you run your survey very quickly, well, what action do we need to take? What does the data mean? We ran these surveys very quickly and very agilely, but the reality is, what are our people saying from a behavioral science point of view? That's where Glint fits in. We have a perfect combination of both. Through our people science division, who are OD specialists, organizational development, PhD, behavioral science specialists, they help us understand when you run your surveys, what are your people saying? What does that mean? And how can we help you transform your strategies? In terms of our product, it's AI, it's the latest technology in terms of intuitive design, very user-friendly, and it's very simple and agile. It's plug and play. And if you combine that approach of the old school of consultancy with the new of technology, that's where the Glint difference fits. That is Glint. Again, going back, I suppose when we think about talent management, there's the past and the future. Okay, the reality is in the past, it's quite rigid, annual cycles, very compliant heavy, very mundane, very fixed mindset from the organization. We must run a survey because we just have to. without actually listening and taking action from what your people are saying. Very backward looking. Well, how did we do last year? Again, it's too late if you're already 3-4 months into next year. Manager as an expert. Manager is seen as an expert and as a leader, which is fine, but the reality is they should be seen as a coach and a facilitator of people. And it's very focused in the past on individual success. Whereas we fast forward now, it's all about agile, real time. How can we pulse in the moment? There's a global pandemic. How do we check how our staff are? Okay, well, let's run a survey on COVID and impacting on well-being or burnout. Again, it needs to be in time, real. Meaningful connection, understand connecting with your employees. You need to have a growth mindset. If something isn't working, then okay, well, how do we work on it? Forward looking, again, forward thinking. And as I said, your manager should be seen as a coach and a facilitator and not just a boss. And it is all about team and team success and winning together rather than winning individually. Winning individually drives a different type of culture, the culture that often leads to toxic environments. The reason I'm saying this is really this is the fundamental slide that I'll show you today. High-performing organizations pulse more frequently. There is a direct correlation between companies who run and listen to their employees more, right back to things such as their stock price. So here, for example, we did a study of our customers over a 12-month term, and we've seen a note in their 52 stock price, 52-week stock price at the beginning of that term, and then we also looked at the end of that term. The reality is companies who pulsed once per year saw an increase in their stock by 4%. Companies who pulsed and ran surveys and listened to their employees 2 to 3 times per year saw a 17% increase. And any organization that ran 4 or more surveys and pulse checks on their employees saw a 40% increase in their stock price. If I leave you with nothing today, this is the slide that you should be taking away. Okay, a happy, engaged workforce equals a more profitable and successful business. Okay, and I'll just pause there. As an organization, this is again how we help your organization. All your employee experience data in one platform, and it really is true cross-program intelligence. By program, we define a program as something to do with an onboarding survey. Another program could be a cultural survey. It could be an exit survey. So we define them as programs. If you think about the employee life cycle between, again, back to plan, hire, develop, you've onboarded them. You need to see how they were taking to onboarding. Is there anything we're doing that's, in terms of supporting our new hires? Are they getting the best out of their onboarding experience? I've onboarded into Glint remotely in the last 6 months, and I can tell you remote onboarding is one of the toughest things I've ever had to go through in my professional career. So again, I can't turn left or right and ask a colleague for a quick check on something. It's the reality of, well, I have to Teams them, I have to WhatsApp them, and the time it takes for me to understand and learn is a lot longer than it would have been when I'm in an office environment. So again, these are things you need to think about in the new world of work. We're going to be working remotely for the foreseeable right now. Engagement surveys, ad hoc, do you do 1, do you do 2 a year? 360, team effectiveness, diversity, COVID burnout, again, all the programs to develop. Anytime feedback, is there something happening in the business right now? Has there been a CEO change? Can we run feedback quickly just to make sure that people are content? Did we get our messaging right as an organization? And lastly, exit. If they're going to leave you, the number one question would be, would you recommend someone else, or would you come back to work for us? 2 hugely important questions that will decipher why and what is happening with your attrition. 80% of business leaders believe their engagement initiatives are not driving outcomes. So we've talked about the reason and the fundamental of organizational growth and actually listening to your employees. It's all well and good listening, but the reality is you need to take action. Without action, the listening goes on deaf ears. So what we hear from our customers is it's hard to make leaders and managers take action on the data. Our scores aren't improving because we're not taking any action. We're just listening, and then we're not formulating any strategy based on what our employees are saying. And then we aren't sure we're getting a return on investment for our engagement. The data we're getting, we're not sure how we're reflecting that back to attrition. How are we matching that back to acquisition? How are we managing that back to development? So the reality is, the reason why action taking is so important is, again, it's 7 times more likely that you'll have an engaged workforce when you take action. So again, right back to that stock price increase, right back to your profitability, your success, and your growth as an organization is, you do need to listen, but you need to listen and then take action. That's why it's important to have real-time data and real-time insights on what's happening and how you can formulate a strategy. Is there a burnout mentality within your business right now due to COVID? Is there anything you can do to impact that immediately? For example, LinkedIn has brought in a no internal meeting day, one per month. So they'll decide once per month right now, we can have no internal meetings, no Zoom or Blue Jeans or whatever technology you use for one day. They block it out of your calendar and they give you that day back to do your job without having to be on Blue. So again, it's accommodating and trying to help people. So that's a prime example. Employees who don't believe action will be taken are more likely to disengage by 7 points. And managers who utilize Glint action plans see a significant increase in their scores. So managers who get feedback and then take action are seeing a engagement of workforce 7 times higher. Again, all leading back to profitability. And the reality is the world of work is changing, and that is why. Again, COVID, and we're shifting business needs. We now have distributed teams remotely all over the world based on talent. Talent doesn't necessarily have to be in country now. Increased burnout with COVID, the Blue Jeans, the Zoom, the Teams fatigue is real. The ability to disconnect from your laptop to going downstairs, or disconnecting from your laptops and couch to, engaging with your wife and your family. There's a real difference there from a mental capacity. We have much broader social narratives around D&I and diversity and inclusion. So again, listening to your staff and listening to your employees is going to be how you come out of this, and is going to be how you grow your business in the future. Again, back to correlation between increased performances and growth. The key is creating a culture where your people do their best work. Organizations that put the needs of their people first see, again, 2.5 times increase in profit. They see 3 times lower attrition and 3 times lower burnout. Putting your people first comes back to in waves. When we think about the non-people-centric approach and what happened in the past, episodic feedback, long feedback cycles, not really reflecting on how people are doing, and is more of a tick-the-box exercise. It restricted involvement. Leaders and managers are expected to take the full burden of whatever happened. And again, it's not distributed down to everybody, because everybody's involved here. We are a team. And infrequent action. Because of this delayed feedback, because it takes a long time, and because it's restricted, there's no action being taken. So often that can impact trust in your organization. Why should I take this survey if I don't feel anything's going to change? I don't trust the business will listen and take action. And that is huge. A lack of trust fundamentally is one of the biggest things the biggest concerns organizations are. When we think about data, where we come in as a Glint organization is there's two forms, active and passive data. If you think about things like if you're a Microsoft shop now, so any Microsoft customers that we work with here in Glint, there's workplace analytics. Basically, workplace analytics, I get an email every week that tells me where and how my time is spent. Personal to me, but it tells me how many hours I spent in meetings, on emails, on chat, and how productive I was in my workplace. If you combine that for things like balance and burnout, business continuity, am I over or under collaborating? Am I being effective in my role? And you combine that to the Glint platform and what people are saying about the organization, that's powerful. Data is power in the sense that our people are saying this and our workplace analytics is saying one thing. And if they marry up, then that is a huge understanding of what's happening in your workforce and how you can formulate a strategy to change and grow and be a better and more successful business. So again, if you're a Microsoft customer and you're partnered with us as an example, we're combining the data between workplace and employees' feeling. The reason for that is organizations struggle with meeting their needs of their people. Okay, 30% of people feel disconnected from their manager. Your manager plays the biggest role in any organization. If you don't get on, or if your manager is not inspiring you or not driving you, then the reality is they feel disconnected from you. 51% of HR professionals say their employees are not empowered. Again, you need to put your people first. You need to empower them. 68% of employees express desire to shape their experience at work. So again, employees feel disconnected. HR say their employees are not empowered. Yet nearly 70% of people are saying they want to be heard. They want to be connected to their manager. They want to be empowered. They want to be inspired to be innovative, to be creative, and to be themselves, not just again to tick the box. A prime example, a case study I'd like to just touch on. The customer won't be mentioned, but it's just bringing it from the old traditional employee engagement right through to the new. And this is an example of a company that jumped 20 points in the stock in the last 24 months. The reality is the old way, very annual, very mundane, lots and lots of questions, 60 to 100 questions. Reality is you will lose people. People will just start ticking the middle one. If you have 5 options, once it gets to 30 or 40, you're just going to be going middle, just get this done with, right? You are not going to go through 100 questions. And that's the reality. I fill out a passport form. I fill out something for my driver's license. If it's too long, I get bored, let alone a survey for engagement. So again, shortening it, making a much more powerful experience, using our OD specialists to help shape questions that can lead to multiple answers rather than just one, are you happy? Very, very straightforward and rigid questions. And then those results are then, in the old way in this company, were top-down cascaded over 6 weeks. 6 weeks is too long. And so before you know it, you've got a 6-week period where you've even talked about and cascaded the information. You probably got another 6 or 8 weeks before you even think about taking action, and then another 6 or 8 weeks before the action is implemented. That's 5 or 6 months. Too long. And then a top-down mandate. Whereas we move them to a new way, 2 or 4 pulses per year, so 2 to 4 surveys based on engagement, onboarding, exit, whatever was their initiative. We reduced the questions to 20, use our OD and our behavioral science people to make sure those questions were designed in order to match the strategy of the organization and what they were looking to hear. Release results to all managers within a week. So within a week, managers have feedback instantly and can start taking action within their next team meeting. And we brought employees into the process. You're making them feel empowered. And that was a huge win for this company. And one last feedback is, other than Slack, I have never seen a piece of enterprise software have such a direct and positive impact on our business. That is from the CEO of Marketo, leading marketing business. I'll lead you with some slides of our customers, and I will bid you farewell and thank you for listening to me. Again, my name is Christopher Burgess. I work for LinkedIn and I work for a division called Glint. What our aim to do is to make your people at their best. There is a direct correlation in the theme of growth to listening, empowering your people, and being more profitable, versus not listening, not driving change, not taking action, and just not being as successful. Have a great day, and I look forward to meeting you in the Q&A. Thank you.